and I still feel fresh. I don't have a numb bum. It's the true test for me of a GT car, and the thing that's really impressed me is I honestly, when I got in the car at Moggy's, I was convinced I was going to have a quick volt and bolt on the way home, a quick 10 to 20.
It's an 800 volt architecture, which means when Tesla does open up their Tesla superchargers for V3, and Kia hasn't agreed yet to that anyways, but this car will only charge at about 50 kilowatts.
How many miles, things like that, but also what my driving habits are. And also just a little bit about, not me, but about my other cars and kind of what my car taste is. So this is a 2022 Kia EV6 Wind all-wheel drive with the tech package. So it comes with some of the niceties that the GT line comes with, such as the 3.
And it's not working at all. So I've got the car sat nav running on the main MMI display, and I've got my iPhone set on the right hand side here, and I'm running a combination of of Waze and Zap Map. I've typed in my destination to...
Used to buying cars between 30 and 40K, and now I'm looking at cars 50 to 60K. So it was already a little out of my comfort zone. And yes, I did account for the fact that I'm saving gas money, but there's still a bigger payment involved and install of the EVs and all that kind of stuff. So that being said, the markups were really that pushed me towards...
Which is really cool. So one little update, I did stop at the Electrify America high-speed chargers and ran into all kinds of problems. I wanted to try multiple ways of getting to this. The car is charging, okay, but let me tell you how we had to do it. Because first when we walked up, it tells you
for the most part, and it stays clean. And I do a good job of generally keeping this car clean. I just haven't lately, but it is all in good shape. There's no trim falling off. Now, I've seen people have issues with the trim around the windshield.
Of course, wheels was the first thing I did. I hated the stock 19s, and I knew I would hate them. So I ordered some wheels. I have the Avid wheels, and I absolutely love these wheels still. A little aggressive on the offset, but I think it fits the look of the car. I've been keeping in touch with M&S, which was a company that I talked to a lot.
a car that weighs 5,400 pounds, right? It's heavy. I didn't hear anything in the suspension. Okay, so we've hit rough roads, we've been on highways, we've been on some dirt roads this morning. So, you know, you would expect a suspension to start.
Sure, this thing gets through tires at a rate of knots. But even in GT mode, I was doing about 2.5 to 2.6 miles per kilowatt hour, which I didn't think was too bad. So I will be intrigued to see what happens when...
These really good knobs right here. And you can actually choose whether you want this one to be the volume or this one to be the radio dialer. So we have this as volume, and since the driver has a volume thing right here, but the negative thing is that it doesn't
instant. The interesting thing, so I've got regen braking. You can adjust it with the paddles on the back of the steering wheel. But the really interesting thing, I've got it on its maximum setting at the moment. When you brake really hard into a corner, normally what would happen in a...
It's the brake if you time everything correctly. One thing I have noticed, if you're an efficiency nerd, is if you go into drive mode and you're in eco, iPedal will always have both motors running. So it doesn't turn off one of the motors while you're not using it. So to me, it feels...
Actually, it takes quite a long time before it says, put your hands back on the steering wheel. There we go. And that just makes a long journey really, really relaxing. I've just got the cruise set to 70 miles an hour. I'm currently doing 3.2 miles per kilowatt hour after 41.
Down here, and depending on which option you select, either climate control or your navigation and infotainment, the buttons actually change. So their function changes, you know, the touch buttons as well as the dials, and that's really cool. I
never have to worry about any fumes, any noises, or anything like that, and it just is warm or cold when I get in the garage. Number 2, especially in cold climates, you can just get in and go. You don't have to sit there and wait for the engine to kind of warm up. You don't have to let it get to any kind of
car. So I put 54.16 kilowatt hours of juice into the battery. That cost me £42 and 79 pence. What's that given me in terms of range now? Let me just turn the car on. Oh.
telling us to stop every 100 or 130 miles, sometimes even within 60 miles. Why was it doing this when my car has a range of 274 miles? Well, it was keeping us in the zone of 10% to 80%.
If you're an owner, you actually get a Tesla adapter for free from them, and you can go to any Tesla charger, plug your car in, and you're good to go. With the EV6, right now, you have to go to a Magic Dock, which is specific sections of a Tesla charging station that
Come up with my own routing. I had also spent the previous day waiting at a charger and saw that 2 of the chargers were broken at the Kingman station. On PlugShare, I read comments about long waits at the Kingman station, so I decided to come up with a routing that
or is down for maintenance. So the app just isn't, I'm not 100% confident that it's always there when I need it. It's not the end of the world, but there are hours sometimes it'll go by and you can't even access the app. A lot of people have had the 12-volt battery fail, which is
such as weight, weather, elevation gain, speed, etc. into account to give a more accurate range estimate. Some cars like the Mercedes EQS do that, but my Kia certainly doesn't. And that's why I now have a newfound respect for
was getting a car that in town was just awesome. Sure, I could have gotten one with maybe slightly better range, but we wanted something more powerful. We wanted something that was just fun to drive and also it looked really unique. So out of all of those things, Teslas do tick off like the powerful part, but when it comes to being unique,
the Sorento actually has a third row. The MDX has a small third row. So there's other cars that are out there, but my biggest deterrent for the EV9 is the price. I simply cannot justify spending $70K for the trim that I want on the EV9, or even $65, $68K.
Ago now. So while we drive home through beautiful Wales, I've got a disparity between the two sat-navs. I'm running Waze and the in-car Kia sat-nav. Waze says I've got 202 miles to go home. The car says he can get me home in 186.
to tell him off. Once the red ID4 had left, the owner of the Mach-E and the white ID4 subsequently got into an argument about who was there first and who should be allowed to use the charger. I had to wait at only a couple of stations, so it wasn't that bad.
See that? That's definitely hurting our efficiency. And that is a hanging panel. Yikes. But I do really like the tire rims. Now the EV6